Hey, everybody. Welcome to Community Focus Thursday morning, Faith. And it's just such a joy to go around our state and to meet different citizens that are doing great things, that are working on a clean energy done right policy, that are being good citizens, that's fighting human trafficking. We do this every week. And where are we at today, Faith?
We are in Buford today, up in Gwinnett County.
Great. And my daughter lives in Buford on Lake Lanier, so I am over there a couple times a week seeing that grandson. So nice to see friends. Dr. Gill, Alton Gill, great to have you on. We're looking forward to hearing about your good work.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
And Cammie, you are working with clean energy, and we're all about clean energy done right. And we're going to learn about this facility that you guys have. So I'm looking forward to hearing about that. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Thank you so much.
And my old friend, Teresa Cantrell, we've been together on so many things forever. And she's so faithful. She's leading. She's our good citizen today. And not only is she leading the prayer movement in and around Gwinnett and Georgia, but she's also helping women recover. And so, Teresa, it's nice to see you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We're going to be hearing about the Lightway home. It's a women's addiction recovery home. And we'll leave Rick Desai in our screen. And Rick, you and I guess we've known each other since 2007. We go way back, Rick. And Rick, you've really just been instrumental in helping me connect with a very important community in Atlanta, the Indian American community. Rick, it's just great to be with you. It's great to have partnered with you. And I went to Israel as a result of you recommending me for the AJC project over there. So thank you for that. Good to have you on today.
Sir, it's so good to see you. And I truly appreciate your leadership in the state and your friendship over the years. And I've learned a lot from you, and I still have a lot more to learn from you.
Rick, tell me about the Indian American community in Atlanta. I've been to the Mandir in Lilburn multiple times, and so much happens there besides, just religious activities. It's essentially a center of commerce, a place for fellowship for the Indian community to gather. Tell me about the Indian community and the vibrancy of that community now.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about, the community. We're going to break this down from a national angle, come down to the state, and then come down to the metro. So if you look at the nationally, there's about 3.5 million Indian Americans that call the United States home, of which I would say that close to 132,000 call Georgia home, of which over 120,000 call Metro Atlanta home.
Wow.
Now, I also want to give you a little bit of a background on their economic progress and contribution to our great country. So little known fact that more than 60% of the hotels in this country are owned and or operated by Indian Americans. They are one of the largest employers in terms of ethnicity, and it is the richest per capita ethnic group, minority group in the country today.
Wow. I know May is Asian American Heritage Group, and in Gwinnett County, we have so many ethnicities. I mean, it truly is the melting pot of Georgia. You think about the Indian American community, but we have a robust Japanese, Korean, Filipino, Vietnamese, Chinese community.
Absolutely.
And folks that haven't been in Gwinnett or haven't been to Georgia Gwinnett College or lived in Gwinnett, they don't realize that, but it is the most diverse county in Georgia, don't you think?
Absolutely. It is one of the most diverse counties in the country, definitely the most diverse county in our state.
Rick, you've worked a lot with our governor, and really you have been at the forefront of helping Indian Americans learn about, getting elected and lobbying. And why is that important to every ethnic group in the city?
I think it's very important. I think, it's not just about running. It's not just about the election process. It's about being involved. I say this to a lot of Indian American groups when I have the opportunity to speak with them. One of the things I tell them is, what is the likelihood that you're going to go back to India, or if you're Asian, let's say you're from China, you're from Japan, whatever. What is the likelihood that you're going to go back and live in your respective home countries? Very low. What is it? Okay, let's say that you might do it. What happens to your children and your grandchildren? The likelihood is next to none. Okay, and so we are vested and invested in this country, in this state. The laws that matter are impacting our lives and those of our children and our grandchildren to come. And so that is why I think it's very, very critical and important for us to be involved.
So, Rick, you mentioned the Hotel Association. I work with, Commissioner and I both work with the State Human Trafficking Task Force, and my work group that I worked on worked with hotels in getting the signage up on resources for trafficking victims. And we worked pretty closely with AHOA,
Yes.
which I understand you're a leader of. That organization. Can you tell us a little bit about them and what they've done with the trafficking issue?
So AHOA has taken this thing very, very seriously, as you know. AHOA, for those that don't know, is the Asian American Hotel Owners Association. It is the largest hotel owners association in the world today. And fortunately for us, it actually started and has been headquartered here for the last 30 plus years, here meaning in the state of Georgia, in Metro Atlanta. They have done a tremendous amount of work. They've taken this thing very, very seriously because they understand very clearly that the human trafficking is a major factor in the world. And that's a major issue in our country, and a lot of that is happening at the hotels. And so training has been a big part of what they have done. Educating has been another big part of what they have done. Not just the owners, not just the operators, but also those that are everyday employees. Even if you're a housekeeping person, they've gone above and beyond in explaining to them what to look for, training them, teaching them, and they've really grabbed the bull by the horns. And really, I'm very proud of AHOA for taking on that very strong stance.
Yeah, they've been wonderful to work with, really.
Thank you.
Rick, a pleasure to have you on today. Thanks for your many years of friendship, and I look forward to working with you for years to come.
Same here, sir. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks,
Thank
Rick.
you. Hey, we got my friend Teresa Cantrell on today. Teresa, we of course share our faith in common, but much more. I think about your family's impact in Gwinnett County life in general. And you've been in Gwinnett all your life, right? I mean, didn't you grew up there?
Since middle school, so that counts. But
yeah. So tell us a little about, you're our good citizen today, and you've helped remind us that God is in control, and that we need to be crying out to Him, but that our prosperity and our freedom is dependent upon our relationship with Him. Tell us about your work in the National Day of Prayer.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being on your show today. And there is so much hope. There is so much good going on. And I think if we can be reminded that for everything we see happening on the ground in the physical realm, there is more going on in the spiritual realm. And that is a place we need to fight the battle. And that is a place where we know we are victorious. So the great news is, like last Thursday was the National Day of Prayer. It has been active for 70 years, really since Truman. There was a joint resolution of Congress that established it, and then Reagan made it the first Thursday in May. So what was amazing last Thursday is, here in Georgia alone, we had over 100 services that were reported, and there's many, many more we don't even know about, but thousands across the nation. And so what we had was just people that were united, that were appealing to heaven, appealing to the righteous judge, the sovereign God, the one who is in control, and calling out to him, asking for his kingdom to be manifest here on earth. And it happened everywhere in all different places. We were at the Capitol. So the governor had a service at 11. And one of the first times I think that a governor has actually had a live service. Then we had the state team and some other folks like yourself on a Zoom call at noon. But in addition to that, there were services at flagpoles, at breakfasts, at hotels, at churches, at war memorials, at schools. We had one at a flagpole. So there was just a united cry from thousands of people calling out to God for his will to be done here.
Yeah, we are blessed to live in a country, in a state where we can use a public facility for these kind of purposes, and it's not every country that would allow that. And I know Teen Pack, the ministry I started in 1994, we hit our 50th state last week. So we hit Utah, that was number 50. And so Faith went through that program. And Faith, you've worked a lot with Teresa, and you've seen her faithfulness. And I know my office at the Capitol, we want to be available to the faith community, and to, if they want to come and express themselves at the Capitol, we want to help facilitate that, don't we, Faith?
Absolutely. Yep. We've actually, Teresa and I have gone back much further than my tenure as your assistant. I stayed at her house for weeks at a time for a horse camp when I was working with your daughter when we were both teenagers, running girls' horse camps all summer long, every summer. So yeah, I stayed in Teresa's basement multiple times for horse camp.
That's amazing. It just shows how God is networking his people together and uniting. And what's happening is the intercessors are also beginning to be activists. So we cover the ground spiritually first, ask God to remove any spiritual blockages to his will being done, but then we are boots on the ground as well. And I don't know how much time we have to talk about our Women's Recovery Center, but right here in Flowery Branch, we have a residential recovery center for women. And it was really birthed out of prayer because God led the partners together. This is what we see. God's bringing different people with different gifts together, and then he's accomplishing his work through his people.
Well, that's great. And I just commend Teresa's work to folks, and we just commend you, Teresa, for following God's will and doing great things. So thank you for being on with us today.
If I could mention that the National Day of Prayer Georgia has a website. If anybody wants more information about these events, ndpgeorgia.org.
Thanks, Teresa.
Great. Well, thank you, Teresa. Appreciate you being on today. Faith, I was on with Dr. Gill at another Zoom call that we did maybe a year ago talking about human trafficking. Why don't you introduce our next guest and as we highlight this fight against human trafficking?
Absolutely. So we have Dr. Margie Gill. She and I actually share a name. My first name is Margie, which is kind of unusual to run into other Margies. So we were pretty excited about that. And then Alton Gill is her assistant director.
I'm the community relations director.
Community relations director. And Dr. Margie Gill is the director of Tabitha's House, which is in Buford. Dr. Gill, will you tell us some about how Tabitha's House came about?
Oh, sure. So back it was around 2012, Dr. E. Dewey Smith, he's a minister in DeKalb County, Decatur, right off of the Flat Shoals Parkway. He ministers, I think there's about 10,000 members at this church, and the church is situated in a hot spot. And so he wanted to do something to just get rid of human trafficking, sex trafficking specifically in that area, and broaden it out. And so we were members at that church. So I met up with Dr. Smith, and that's how it all came about. And so since then, we have really grown. We have a residential facility, and we also have 2 community resource centers. One is in DeKalb County, and the other is in Gwinnett County. The residential facility is situated in the metro Atlanta area. You know, we have to keep that private, but we serve quite a few people in the metro Atlanta area. And at our community resource centers, we provide mentoring, free mental health counseling, career readiness. We provide toiletries. We provide food, emergency shelter. We give hotel motel vouchers. So we're pretty prominent in the community, specifically in the Buford area, because that's where one of the community resource centers is situated.
Thank you. That's wonderful. And I wanted to ask about those shirts that you guys are wearing. I see you have a barcode on there and then the not for sale. Tell me about that design and what it means to Tabitha's House.
Well, we are an agency that's doing our part to eliminate sex trafficking. And we are advertising that we are not for sale. People are not to be sold. We are not a barcode. We are not a piece of property that could just be passed along or donated or whatever it is. And so we created these shirts to market that we're not for sale with the barcode. And I don't know if you can see the bottom of it, but this is actually the human trafficking hotline phone number.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So tell us about that trafficking phone number, what it's there for, and how you guys are connected to it.
Okay, so this is the National Human Trafficking Hotline phone number, and if you suspect anybody is being sexually exploited, if you actively see something going on, you can call this number, 888-3737-888, and they will be able to connect you with somebody in your community. And they will dispatch somebody in your community to come out to the area where you are to address the needs of that person. Sometimes they will call us directly at Tabitha's House to go out and meet that person or meet those people where they are to provide the services that we provide. But it's like a network of agencies that cover the entire state of Georgia. But more specifically, the agencies are situated mostly in the metro Atlanta area. And it's just a way for all of us to network so that those needs of the survivors are met.
Awesome. So I know you mentioned that you guys have mental health services, on site. How important is it that victims or survivors of human trafficking receive that mental health?
Oh, it's vital.
Very.
Is vital because of all of the trauma that they have been subjected to. It won't take, like 3 to 6 months to eliminate the symptomology that's related to being sexually exploited. It could take a lifetime of treatment. And if it takes that, we're willing to offer that. We have trauma-trained clinicians at Tabitha's House who are trained to address the sexual trauma, the physical trauma, anything as it relates. And one last thing I wanted to mention, at Tabitha's House, we actually do the escape services too. So when people want to leave the life, they can call us and we will do what we have to do to help them leave the life, to start a new, fresh life.
That's fantastic. And does the escape services, does that extend to women who are in like the sex industry, not just trafficking victims?
That's
right. So women who are working in strip clubs, who are working in prostitution and want to get out of that life, whether they're trafficked or not, you will provide services.
That's correct.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Gill. I really appreciate you and Alton being here and the work that you guys are doing in the trafficking world.
And thank you for having us. And we sincerely appreciate you, Commissioner Eccles, for everything that you do for the community. We're so appreciative.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to go to Cammie Fuller now. Cammie works with she is the program coordinator for the Gwinnett Environmental and Heritage Center. which is in Buford, right, Cammie, right there by the Mall of Georgia.
That's correct. Yes. We are right in the middle of the Mall of Georgia. We sit on just over 700 acres, but our immediate acreage is wooded acres, about 200 acres that we have with about 10 miles of trail. We have our primary building, which was the first LEED certified building in the county. So we're really proud of that. And really education is at our core. So our primary goal at the Gwinnett Environmental Heritage Center is to transform the concepts of science and history into interactive learn by doing experiences. And so we do a lot of education and programming with the community.
So that was mind-blowing to me, that there are 700 acres in that area that are left that could house something like that. So can you tell us a little bit about the center itself and what you guys specifically do there?
Absolutely. So like I said, our education is really at our core. So we aim to teach students and visitors about our local environment so that they can be better stewards of our natural resources. One of our primary audiences is the schools, and we provide K through 12 field trips for a variety of schools in Gwinnett County and even beyond. And our educational programs are tied to the curriculum, and they provide a unique atmosphere for learning for the environment and becoming environmental stewards. So we do lots of programming here. We also, one of the unique things in our building, we have exhibit displays that focus on how people who've lived in this area throughout history have engaged with the environment and how the environment has impacted those communities as well. So we're, again, very educational.
That's really interesting. So, it's not just the environment today. You're looking back at, what people who were in this area, in this environment back in the 16, 17, 1800s would have experienced.
Absolutely. One of the other unique things, so we have our main building, the LEED certified building, a modern building, but on our campus we also have a historic building that was moved to this site. It's called the Cheshire Williams House. And one of our programs that we do with school groups in middle school is we actually do a comparison between green building techniques nowadays and how people built buildings in the past. So one good example is in the past, out of necessity, they had to use natural lighting rather than relying on electricity. And our green building is very reliant on natural lighting. So it's nice to see that juxtaposition and really make that tie to history.
That's really interesting. But our insulation is significantly better than what they would have experienced.
Yes, that's very, very true.
We're much more energy efficient with our insulation now. So tell us about the building. You said it's LEED certified. Tell us what that means and what are some of the aspects of the building that are green.
So we got our LEED certification in 2007. We achieved the gold standard at that point. We have a variety of things about our building. In fact, again, going back to programming, we actually offer green building tours for school groups and for the general public just to talk about all the unique features of our building. But when you come and visit us, one of the first things you notice when you drive into the parking lot, we have plants growing on our roof. So we have a living roof. We have a green roof. It's one of the largest sloped green roofs in the country. We have 40,000 square feet of green roof. And what's really neat about it, it looks beautiful because it's got plants growing on it, but also it provides a habitat that would have been taken away by the building for birds and insects. Also, you were talking about insulation. It provides good insulation for our building. And it also prevents an effect, the heat island effect. So when the sun comes down on it, the plants on the roof absorb that heat, absorb the sun rays rather than bouncing off and ever so slightly changing the heat around the building. So it's a really unique feature.
That's really interesting. I love that it's actually green.
Yeah.
It's green energy, but it's literally green.
Yep.
Thanks, Cammie.
Hey,
thank you so much.
Everybody, thank you for being on today, for the good work that you're doing out there and making our state a better place. I really appreciate each of you being on Community Focus. Faith, where are we going next week?
So next week, we will be in College Park. The week after that, we'll be in Athens, and then we'll open up June in Hartwell, Georgia.
Fantastic. Well, y'all have a great day. Enjoy this beautiful spring day in Atlanta. God bless you. Thanks for everything that you're doing.
Thanks,
Thank you so much.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.